So we know how to declare variables, right? We know how to declare integers, we know how to initialize them and give them a value, and we do know a little bit on how to print statements. But you know what? In this video, I want to go in depth on how exactly we print statements. So right over here, just knowing this, you can easily say, hey, you know what? I can always just use, system.out.println, which ln stands for line, right? It makes sense because if you think about it, system out print ln, okay, print line, and then you print this, it prints whatever you want in a line, right? We're gonna play around in this video with the system.out.print, the println method, okay? So the definition of when it comes to doing these types of things, what we want to do is we are trying to display some type of output on the console or on the program, right? And think about it like this. So the system part, okay, the system part is actually a system class, okay? The class holds the out object, right? So pretty much the out is part of the system. And then the println, which stands for print line, is a method which is a member of the out object. So think about it like this. So it's kind of like a hierarchy. So println is part of out, and out is part of system. So these two are definitely part of system. So you need these in order to actually print something out correctly. So if you did something like system.println.out, that's just the wrong way, because remember, think about it like this. System is the main class. And I'm sorry, actually no, I'm sorry. System is a class, right? However, println is part of out, and we're going in chronological order. You can't have, something that is of something in front of that thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess you should understand what I'm trying to say. So like, you have out that is out contains, like out holds println, right? And it wouldn't make sense to have what's inside, like, a box be in front of the box, or come first then the box, you know what I mean? So to fix this, we just type in out println, and that's really easy, right? There's also another method called print, and you may say, hey, aren't these two the same thing? And they're actually not the same thing, okay? It would be wrong to say those two are the same thing, and we're going to show you in this video on how these two methods work. So we just went over the system class, right? The system class is actually part of the Java API, right? It's like some kind of library that has all of these types of methods and objects and stuff, and it allows us to just send output to the console, and that's pretty awesome. And then just remember, we also went over the out object, which is part of the system class, and then the .println method is part of the out object, which they're both pretty much included inside the system class. And the system class, remember, is part of the Java API. So we have a brief rundown on how these things work. So you know what? Let's just print out some statements. So right now we're just doing some basic outputs. So let's say, for example, I want to print out just a line. Let's say I want to print out something called hello world, right? The simple basic start of every program. Now remember, in order to print something out, you always have to put it in between quotes, okay? So in this case, hello world is what I want to print out, and I have to put it in between quotes. So the program won't show these quotes, but it will show hello world. And let's compile it. Okay, let's run the program. And you'll see hello world. Alright, it prints out. Now, let's say, for example, I want to print out something. Let's say I want to say, whoops, how are you doing today? Okay, remember, we have to enclose it in quotes, right? Now, also, one more thing that I need to go over is always, always, always make sure you end your statements with semicolons. And just remember this, everything needs to be ended in semicolons except for, I'm pretty sure what they're called is the class header and the methods. When it comes to methods, you enclose them with curly braces, right? And things like for loops and stuff, you can use semicolons, but we're going to get into that later on. But just know that every statement always has to have a semicolon except for the class header and the main method, okay? Which we already know the main method is enclosed with curly braces. So we compile the program and we run the program. And then you see, how are you doing today is printed out. Now let's say, for example, I want to print out system.out.println. Let's say the sky is not blue, which is false, but let's print it out anyways. Okay, and there we go. Where we printed out three statements and they are on three separate lines. So we now have a good brief walkthrough on how the println method works. But let's say for example, let's play around with the print method now. Now that we know how print works, I want to show you guys how the print method works and how it's different than the println. So you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this. I'm just going to delete the ln part. And I'm going to show you how it differs from this to this. So I'm going to compile the program, okay, and I'm going to run it. Now, like, what do you notice? Like, there's a huge difference, right? And we also have something else that's added to the program that we don't recognize, but you do notice some kind of difference. And yes, the difference is that all of these are printed out on the same exact line. And you may wonder why. Well, the print method, it doesn't actually print on a new line, okay? We do know that the println method prints on a new line, right? Well, however, the print method just prints everything on the same exact line, and it's like, you may wonder, like, what's the point of using the print method when we could just use println? Now, there are many reasons why you would want to use a print method, and it'll come up eventually when you're doing programming, but just know that the print method and the println method are two different things, although they function similarly, but they're just different things. However, the print method, just know that if you were to write, let's just copy and paste this just to show you. You can have so many print methods, right? And then you can compile it and you can run it. Everything will print out on one line, and you may wonder, well, that's kind of annoying, but how do I fix that? Well, we can fix it. One may say, oh, we can fix it by using just the ln line, just the ln method, right? And that is true. However, how would we fix it without using the ln method? Well, I mean, there's something called escape sequences, and what these things do is they're like, they're little like, I guess you can call them, I don't know how exactly to call them, but they're just pretty much like, these cool methods, or not, they're not methods, but they're just like these cool types of characters that allow us to, I guess, uh, format text more properly, if that's the proper definition. Like, I'm just kind of like saying things off of my knowledge, and I'm not really using Google to read it. But if you really want to get like a good definition on what an escape sequence is, do read into it on Google. But just know that we can use escape sequences to fix how our text is displayed on the screen. So one common escape sequence is the backward slash n. And how we write this is, okay, so let's say for example, first of all, let's delete all of this, okay? Now let's say for example, I don't want all of this to be printed on the same line. So what I can do is I can write an escape sequence, okay? And what this will do is and the definition, it will advance the cursor to the next line for subsequent printing. So let's just do this for every single one of them, okay? We can compile it, and we can run, and you can see now that, hey, everything is on a different line. And yes, you'll notice that this bracket is printed out even though we don't have it there, and the reason why is because you need to have this, or else you'll get that. So you have to fix it. To fix that, you just do that. And now everything is just printed on the same line. And actually, it makes sense. The reason why this was there was because you printed the statement out, but then this over here moves on to that line. That's why you have to make sure it goes on the next line. So now everything is printed out, and we're using the print method, right? And you can also, there are other escape sequences too. I'm not going to go over every single one of them, but I'll go over like the basic ones. So let's say for example, I wonder, okay. There's also one called tab, which it will cause the cursor to skip over to the next tab. So let's try using this one. Let's just see what that does. Okay, actually, let's see. I wonder. So you can see how there's a space over here, and that's what the escape sequence does. It pretty much tabs the next thing. So now that we have a tab, right? Let's actually take a look at this. This isn't how we would normally use it, but I'll show you exactly what we can do with it. So let's just say, for example, if we want to tab, when we use the keyboard to tab something, what exactly does that do? It indents a space, right? So to do that, what we do is we can do tab, and then we can write whatever we want, whatever I want, which isn't actually proper English grammar. And you can compile the program. And you can see now that the backward slash T, the escape sequence, it tabs horizontally this text, it indents it in a way. You know what I mean? And also, I don't want to forget the next line thing, just to format it properly. So whatever I want, and then I can also include something like this, right? Let's just try this out really quick. And then system.out.print I am spaced from here. Okay, and let's add in the next line, the backward slash compile, whatever I want. Okay, it goes on to the next line, and then it tabs it, right? I am spaced from here, and then next line. Now I can also do this. Let's try. I'm spaced from here too. And what that will do is it'll create a space in between these. So that's how escape sequences work. And there are many, many other escape sequences, but these two are the most common ones. And I do encourage you to look some of them up on Google, and you'll probably learn a lot about escape sequences. So that's pretty much how you can use the print and println method. Hopefully you did learn something. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in my next video, and I'll see you guys next time.